She's sweet, she's salty, she's smart and craves chocolate every day. Here is your host, the Greek goddess of comedy, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sweet and Salty with Ellen Karis. I am your host, Ellen Karis, and you are listening to the guest edition of Sweet and Salty. Yes, we have a guest and such a special guest. I'm so excited because I wanted to have her on. I think it's been about 5 years. I know it takes me a long time to get my act together when it comes to guests. But anyway, she is here live from Bridgehampton. I'm very, very excited. And before we get to my beautiful guest, I want everybody to know that I got a lot of shows coming up. Actually, today, as we're recording, is Tuesday, August 26, 2025. This Thursday, August 28th, I will be at the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead, Long Island. It's going to be a great show. The lineup, it's part of Long Island Comedy Festival. Amazing, amazing. Then in September, I've got a bunch of stuff coming up. JCC on Saturday, September the 6th. In Staten Island, of all places. I rarely go to Staten Island to work. And then the next day, the same group, we are flying to Indiana, and we're doing a show in Indiana at a JCC there. I'm sorry, I can't tell you what the town is. I can't remember. And then on September 13th, I will be in the Bronx at ZP Greek Orthodox Church, Zohos Behi. And that's going to be great. That's a long time coming. And then on September the 20th, I'm going to be at the church in Buffalo. That's right, the Annunciation Church in Buffalo. And that's going to be very, very excited. And then I got a couple of shows coming up in Long Island. I got October. I'm doing the tour with Angela Tarukas. Check out everything on my website, ellenkaris.com. All right, enough about me. Let me tell you something. I loved this lady from the first second I spoke to her. She's got just gumption, and I could just tell that she's a firecracker. That's the way I want to describe her. She's like a firecracker. And what I love so much too is, it breaks both of our hearts, is the way that we met each other was by a man, and I've mentioned him on my podcast many times before, and I had him on my podcast years ago, Ed Schloeman, who is a Marine. And I gave him a tribute a few months ago, and passed away a couple of months ago. I was in shock. It was one of these things where I was thinking about him. I was totally thinking about him because every 4 months or so, I would hear from him, and then in between, obviously seeing him at events that he's invited me to. And I was thinking right before I saw the post on Facebook, oh my God, how come I haven't heard from Ed? And then sure enough, there it was. And everybody that knows him is devastated. And he was just a great man. And his mission in life was to have veterans be taught transcendental meditation. He taught it. He got me involved. I've said the story before on my podcast, and it changed my life, and it's changed many lives. And that's what he was all about. And the world is a less happier place without him. So I met Francesca, and I think it was in 2012. So it was 13 years ago. Mm-hmm. And Ed put up on this big event with the David Lynch Foundation to honor the beautiful Connie Stevens, who is an actress that was very more popular, I would say, in the 50s and the 60s. That's kind of why I think when she burst out into the scene. And some of you may know her, that she spawned two beautiful daughters that are actresses, Jolie Fisher and Trisha Fisher. And she's Hollywood royalty, and she was being honored because this woman has done so much for the veterans. And Francesca De Vito, who is my guest today, is a very, 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 very close friend with Connie, and we'll find out what Connie is up to. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Francesca De Vito. Thank you for making the time. I know you are very, very busy, and I can't wait for my guests to find out about you and all the things that you do. You've got lots and lots of energy. So yeah, so that's where we met, and then Facebook friends, and then we kind of kept in touch and knew what you were doing. So I have to ask you, because I don't know the answer. Where were you raised? Are you a New Yorker? Because you have
no. I was raised in Trenton, New Jersey. Trenton makes, the world takes. And I grew up there. I went to Holy Angels, St. Anthony High School. From there, I was an x-ray technician. From there, I got married, moved to Philadelphia, divorced my husband, moved to New York. And voila, I met Connie Stevens. And I'm Italian American, of course.
Mhm.
I'm here in Bridgehampton with my cousins, and of course, they tied me to the stove. I just made 23 meatballs. Okay, and now they have. Wait a minute. My cousin says to me, he goes, "Cuz, I don't want you to do the tomatoes yet, but they got to ripen in the sun because, of course, he has a garden. I mean, let's get real. What Italian doesn't? So now tomorrow, I'm going to do the sauce." And then I'll put them together and we'll have spaghetti and meatballs. Okay. So this, I met Connie through a mutual friend. And Connie was the one that introduced me to the veterans. I mean, many, many years ago, she introduced me to she said to me, Francesca, get your girlfriends together and come on, we're going to send like Christmas cards to all of them. And I said, okay, fine. So I got not only my friends, but I got everybody that worked at Gap, Banana. I got them at Express. I brought them all over my house. I had a party. I had pizza. I had this. I said, come on, girls, we're all going to write letters. And they all sat down. I had thousands of greeting cards to go to Walter Reed Hospital. We sent them all out. Then the next year, what I did was Connie would say to me, what are you going to do this year? I said, Connie, what do you want me to do? Oh, let's do a package. And I said, okay. I said, I'll put socks in there, razors, whatever they need. Then it just grew and grew. I made sure that because I'm in textiles, I had so many clients and I loved them all and they were young and they all wanted to contribute. So now they all come over to my apartment in New York City. And here we are again, another party. And I had like a rotation. Okay, you fill this one, you fill that, you go over there. And then it started, they said, oh no, they need Walmart credit cards. So whatever they could contribute, they gave me credit cards. And of course, I had a party for them. And then I called up Walter Reed and I said, you better pick up this package. I said, because I am not sending it through the mail. So they said, okay. And these two women come over with their uniforms on, knock on the door, and they go, Francesca De Vito. And I said, yes, that's me. They go, you have a package for us? And I said, yes. And it was a big envelope filled with Walmart, credit cards. And that's what happened. And because of her, she introduced me to Abe. I mean, to
Ed.
yeah, Ed.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is that Ed says, okay, Connie, let's do this. We put on the big show in Brooklyn. Then after that, I was on the board for years, for 14 years, and then I was awarded, which was so nice, just before he passed. I have a huge trophy. And then I moved to Florida and I was in New York. And it's funny how God works. Here I am in New York at the dentist. And I'm scrolling through Facebook just like you. And I'm going, wonder what's going on with that. And I see his photo and I'm going, wow, they're talking like he died. And I scrolled down and sure enough, he was gone. And then we met each other at the wake. And it's history. I mean, I can't believe he's gone. Such a powerful man who helped all these veterans with the dogs and with meditation and everything else. I mean, he was a great man. He was so wonderful. But,
Yeah.
it was, yeah. So that's how Connie and Ed and I got together. And I involved all my clients from my textile, world. I mean, whenever we had events, I made sure they bought tables. Like I said, I made everybody spend money.
Yeah, no, and I'll never forget that event where I had met you. He actually asked me to be the MC. I
Yes.
just met him not that long ago, and I met him in the craziest way. Again, I've said this on the podcast, I'll just say it really quick. I went to a Wall Street Warriors event, poker thing on the Intrepid. And somebody introduced me to him. I can't remember exactly who that was. And by the way,
Right.
everybody, Ed was like 6'4". He was a big, strapping man, and with a powerful voice. And hi, how are you? I'm a comedian. And right away, he gave me one of his
Right.
coins, which I have right on my
Me
bureau.
too.
And he said, "You're going to learn TM, transcendental meditation." And I'm just like, "What?" And I'm gonna call you tomorrow. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I really was going through a lot of stress and anxiety, not, more than the norm. And I did need something to calm me down. It was wild that he kind of picked up on that. And the next thing, he calls me, we meet for lunch. He brings Bobby, he brings me the book about TM, by, I think it was Norman Rosenthal, and
Right.
the whole thing. And this was his mission. So they had this event, and he said, I want you to MC. I want people to get to know you. It's Connie Stevens. I knew she was,
Oh
and
yeah.
it was great. And I was, fangirling over her, because just so glamorous and so beautiful, so old Hollywood. Like, I feel like I was transported, back to that time. And she was just wonderful, just beautiful and wonderful and sweet and lovely. And as were her daughters and you guys. And that was a big event. And I remember, because at the time we had met Gary Sinise. Gary Sinise was at
Yes.
the
Yes.
table. Yeah, a lot of people, a few of my friends came from his table and stuff. I brought my mom, and it was just great. And Ed has done so many of these, whether they were on a larger
Yeah.
scale or they
Yeah.
were on a smaller
Yeah.
scale. These lunches, where the last few years I've gone, I've done stand up a couple of times for him, and then the other times he just invites me. He's like, "Ellen, I love you. I want you to come." And I want you to network. I want, and he was just great. And I love, thank you, Francesca. I love that you have spent time and money, obviously, to do something for the veterans. I have the chills thinking about it. My dad is a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. I also have my uncles. My father had six brothers. Of three of the other ones were also in the military. I mean, I'm not saying I come from a huge military family, but people served. My brother-in-law served, and I'm all about supporting the troops. I think it's, if without them, there's no us. So, did you have anybody in your family also that was a military, or
My brother Phil, my brother Tommy,
yeah,
my brother Arthur couldn't. He had flat feet or something. I don't know what happened with him, but yeah, I had uncles. I had people like that. But that really, I'll be honest with you. We were very lucky in our family that they all were okay. You
right,
know what I'm saying?
correct,
And it was because of Connie that she really got me involved in this. I mean, Connie, she was my mentor. She was totally my mentor. And for years, she taught me. She is the most gracious woman I ever met in my life. I mean, really, she is that terrific. And even though she was so famous and that she did everything, she would always include me. If photographers were taking photos, listen to this. She's so incredible. She would come here. No, no, you got to sit next to me. Come on over here. Okay, now you can take our picture. I was like, really? I mean, it was like she just was so down to earth and so warm, and she is loving and everything. Right now she is she's 87. She just had a birthday August 8th. So she's in assistant living. She's doing well in LA. I mean, all her girlfriends are there, Lainey Kazan and all of them. They're all, hi Fran, how you doing? When you coming out? Blah blah blah. I mean, Connie says to me, I have a couch that goes out into a bed. You can stay with me. Come over and visit me. I said, I will, I promise. But I mean, she's still doing good, and her daughters take good care of her, thank God. And they're still doing their other business that they do. But no, Connie what is and will always be and always have a special place in my heart. Always, always, always. But anyway,
Yeah,
But
one of her daughters, there was a post on Instagram just recently. They did a photo of her,
yes.
and she looks as beautiful as she ever
Ah,
did, and that's great. And her daughters were lovely. And I don't know if you know this because I'm part of SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
yes,
I
yes,
believe
Jolie.
that
Yes.
Connie was treasurer at one point years ago.
Yes.
One her daughter
Jolie.
Jolie
Yes.
is treasurer, and she's doing a great job.
She's
So
doing a real good job. She's
we have
just like her mother. She's, a pistol when it comes to business and money. So,
actually, you know what? One more thing, and then we need to get on more on to you. One of the things when I remember doing my research about Connie was she was one of the first celebrities to sell on QVC.
yes.
It was her, like Joan Rivers, like they were the pioneers of
Yes.
sort of that, celebrity putting their name behind an actual a product that was considered theirs. And that I'm assuming is, how somewhat she accumulated her wealth, but she was one of the first ones to do that. And I felt that was like so impressive because it was a gamble. Like now it sounds like nothing, but back then it was a big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it was absolutely. I mean, I was with her on that journey. I used to like manufacture headbands for her with like her initials on it. Yeah, I mean, we go way back and it's so wonderful. I mean, I introduced her to people in the garment center and, I used to be in clothing. Kenny Zimmerman, they were going to go in business together. And, we just have a long history and it's wonderful. I mean, and I'm very happy to say that I have that long history with her.
That's great.
And that's it. Yeah.
That's great. So now let's talk about your fabulous career. I want you to know that in my secret life, I always wanted to be in the garment center. I,
Uh,
I I remember as a little girl, the racks of clothes.
right, right.
We go to these showrooms and buy coats, and I don't know. My mother seemed to know all these secret places.
Of course.
With the elevator door, with the elevator man, with the gate, with the way that it wasn't press button. It was sort of like a gear shift, like all
Right, right.
was very, very exciting as a child to see that. And I think, there is a certain image of it obviously being very glamorous. And some of it is and some of it isn't, obviously. But I love clothing and I love pretty things. And it's just a great place to be. So you're still involved. So just kind of start a little bit about how
Okay.
you got into it, because you said you were an x-ray technician, which has nothing to do with fashion.
Well, I was always in fashion.
Mm.
Even when I was a kid, I started out, I was 17 years old, 18 years old, x-ray technician. And I opened up my own store with my ex-sister-in-law. And we had a children's store. From there, I got married, I got divorced. I moved to New York where I always wanted to be. Okay. And when I got there, I worked for Nancy Heller. And Nancy Heller was a very, very famous woman who did all the sweaters and pants and what have you. So I worked for her. Then I went on to Kenny Zimmerman, who was Kennar. And Kennar was a new experience for me because it was items I used to have to sell. I felt like I was at the racetrack, and he would have all the colors of all the shirts up on the board, and you have to sell them. So I had to do cold calling. So I have to call Texas. And there was and then all of a sudden I got a Texas drawl. And I would say, you got to get this color now. You got to understand that I got peach and I got orange and it's all silk. God goes, you know what? Send me like 3 dozen of those. And he goes, and just send them out right away. Well, I used to win awards because no matter who I would talk to, I would just adapt to wherever they were. And that's what I would do. And then before you know it, I, so I worked for him. And then that's when I introduced Connie to Kenny. And then they would start talking about things that they wanted to do. And then then from there, I got sick. No big deal. And what happened is that I was out of work. And a friend of mine out here in the Hamptons met this Italian guy. And this Italian guy says, I needed someone to work for me. I need like an assistant. You know, I need a nicer girl that can come in and help me. She goes, I got the perfect person for you. So now I meet him and he goes, look, he says, you could either be my girlfriend or you could work for me. So I said, I think I'll work for you. How about that? I says, I think I'll work for you. Now the big boss comes in and his name is Peaky. And now I had just gotten out of the hospital. I had an ovarian cyst, whatever. And I'm walking, I have this little blue dress on and I have heels that I carried because I can't walk. So I had the blue flats and I walked up the steps and I go in. It was the Royalton Hotel. I'll never forget. And we're having breakfast. So as soon as I get in, I put the heels on, put the little flats in the thing, and I walk and I go over to him. And he looked at me and he said, you have the job. I went, oh, thank you. He said, that smile. He said, that's it. I said, thank you so much. So then it was really funny. That summer I had gone to Paris and I'm standing there and I go like this, God, I have a feeling I'm coming back here all the time. I said, and I hope to come back soon. Soon as I worked for Peaky, I never stopped going to Paris 24 years, twice a year for the show.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like God told me already that I was going back. And that September, I started with him. Then we went off to Italy and Paris and we worked. And then what happened is that there was a guy that came in as they fired that other Italian guy. And because he really didn't do anything. And what happened is that they hired another guy. And a girl called me and she says, if you think that you're going to get that job, you're not, because he only wants a man. He already told me. I flew to Italy to have an interview with him. And he says, if I wanted a woman, I have the perfect woman in my office. He said, but I don't want a woman in this position. So then I get a phone call and this guy who's my biggest competition keeps on saying, do you want to start your own business? He says, and I would hang up on him. And then I would hang up on him. And then I'd hang up on him. Finally, I took the call and he said to me, there's 3 men that want to put you in business. And I was making a small amount of money. And I said, I really couldn't afford New York. It was hard. So I said, okay. They gave me $64,000. I, of course, drew up a plan and everything, and I paid it all back. But they opened up the office for me. $64,000, 3 Italian mills, because they had heard about me. And they heard that I opened up 300 accounts.
Wow.
So what happened is that because I worked, it's like you work, you just work and you work. And I opened up my business. And then my business was up and down and up and down. And all of a sudden, this Turkish company comes in and said, will you work for us? Because you've been recommended. I heard you're the best agent in all of New York. I looked at him and I said, okay. He asked me for a resume. So I was on the cover of all the textile magazines. They had interviewed me. Women's Wear Daily had also interviewed me. So I sent all the articles. That was my resume. He said, you're hired. And I said, if you didn't hear about me, I said, then you don't know. Then you don't know that I don't need a resume.
Right.
And he went like this. He went, wow. So then I went to work for BTD. I grew that company from the very beginning to like a $30 million company. And then we did millions of yards. And I had so much fun, because you know what? When you love your work, just like you love the people. And that's what made me successful. It wasn't the fabric. I mean, of course, the fabric, you have to have the fabric, but so many people have fabric. It's the love that you give and the love that you get back. And when you do that and when you have integrity And they knew that they could trust me, and my mill could trust me, and then my client could trust me. It was a winner. And I used to take them out. I used to do their tarot cards. I used to perform for them. I used to do everything, but it was out of love. It was absolutely out of love. And right now, I am off to a new venture because just as I'm telling you this, I am now promoting that I want to teach what I know to other people who are young and want to get into the business and to sell, because selling it comes from within. When you're up there, you're selling. You are selling you, Ellen. You are selling how beautiful and how wonderful you are. And this is what life is all about: love, and what you give out and what you take in. And that's what it is. And I pray to God that, I can share my knowledge with the young kids that are coming up now and trying to do this. And this is what I want. And that's where I am. I'm in Florida. I'm in Boca. I have a beautiful life. I am swimming every day. And that's where I am.
Well, I am happy to hear that you want to share your gifts,
Yes.
your advice, your experience.
Yes.
There's not enough people like you doing it, because sometimes by the time they get to a certain point, whatever that point is, like they're done. They kind of close the book, and then they go off and they do some hobbies and whatever their focus is on. You have a very positive attitude. You have a great personality. I knew that from the minute that I met you. And it's not to sound all woo woo, but number one, if you love what you do, it's not a job.
Right.
And also, you are a people person, and there's jobs for people that are not people per people, and there are jobs that are for people.
Exactly.
And sometimes there's a cross. Sometimes you're in a job where you're like, I was an accountant, and although you did, you obviously did interact with people, but there was other
Right.
times where you didn't. But I was fun, like I wasn't around enough people, and certainly enough people with like enthusiasm for life. And then there's comics that I know that not that they're not funny on stage, but once they're off stage, they're in their car on their way home. Like they don't want to talk to anybody. So,
Right.
it's kind of like interesting. But God placed you where you needed to be. And selling, you talked about selling. I love what you just said. I always tell people when people like, and that kind of don't understand, not that I expect anybody to understand stand-up comedy and acting, but I am constantly selling Ellen Karis the
Yes.
product. I can deliver you a night of clean,
Happy.
clean if you want,
Right.
stand-up comedy. I'll take you on a ride. I'm very personable. No one's going to get pissed off. It's a rarity
Right.
if it ever happens. So I'm always selling me. It's constant. And that's really what it is. But you know what? Even in accounting, right? It's like you've got to sell yourself to your superiors, your manager, the partner. I can do this. I can do that audit. I can do that company. I've got the skill set. Oh, look, I passed the CPA exam. Like everything is really about that. And it seems like you really grasp that early on. So I want to know so you're in I'm going to say garment, right? Garment
Yeah.
sector.
Yeah.
Very, very tough industry,
Yes.
still to this day.
More so.
So right, because also we're not, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't have the amount of business that we used to, from back in the day. As a matter of fact, when I started, I had worked for a small accounting firm for a while, and I had done a couple of audits in the garment center, and it was all men, and they were like very tough. And here I was, this like 20-year-old. I looked like I was 10,
Right.
asking the question, and they're looking at me like, is she going to get me coffee? They're like that was the look I got.
Exactly.
Is she taking our lunch order? I think she's taking our lunch. I'm like, no, I'm asking you about this cash transaction for $10,000. That I want the support and the documentation. Where did it go? It was wired, and I don't see any. I can't.
Right.
Yeah. So that was so I have a little bit of, I have a little bit taste of it, but for you, like, what was it like as a woman? And what's the difference from the way that it was to the way that it is now?
I'm going to tell you, I have always been in a men's business. Like I said to you, Mr. Peaky didn't want a woman to run the company in New York.
Right.
And I could have gotten him on, whatever. That wasn't, that is not what I wanted to do. And then I opened up my own company and I'm with all these men in Turkey. I am the only woman. You know why they love me? Because I produced.
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain. If I did not produce, I wouldn't be talking now about all the millions of yards that I did and everything. I produced, but they also liked me because I liked them. It went back and forth. I understood them. Coming from an Italian household that was first generation, it's almost like being in Europe and understanding the mentality. All right. What I had in my favor was that I was an American, knew the American mind, and they needed me. They needed me. They needed to know that this is the way business is run in America. You can't, it's different than Europe. It's different than Turkey. What you could ship to them is not what you can ship to the Americans. You can't ship this, that you have to be on time. If you're not on time, you get charged. I had to explain that to them because they were, even Italians, they were very lax. Oh, so what? It's a week late. Hey, what are we, machines? We're no machines. We got, no, 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 no. You have to be on time. So the whole thing of it is, it was a learning process on both ends. When I was with Bouche from France, I mean, I was with a woman the other night. I'm at a concert out here, and this woman has a handbag, and it's a Kate Spade handbag. And I look at the fabric. It's my fabric from 20 years ago when Kate Spade just opened, and that was Bouche. That was 47 euro a meter. Do you know how expensive that was? I sold her 20,000 meters. I made $20,000 on commission on that. And I opened up a new office. That's what that, and she had that. And guess what she said to me? I have another one in pink. I go, you do? I said, you have another one in pink? I said, do you know how much that cost, that fabric? And they never used it again because then she sold herself out to become less expensive and more volume. This is what's been happening in our industry. It is so hard now that the companies that I work with, everything is so inexpensive. They can't afford to make it and they can't afford to ship it. And now they're all going somewhere else. India, China, still, even with the tariffs, it doesn't matter. They need that price. And that is it. And now they're not buying as much. They are buying small quantities. And for a mill, do you know what that is? That's like a heart attack in motion. Because once they have it on the machines, they can't do 400 yards, 500 yards, 1,000 yards. They need to keep going in order to make any money. So it's very difficult now. The only thing I can honestly say that I like is that it's giving new young people new opportunities to open up boutique type of stores and to have variety. They have become so much like uniforms, a lot of companies, that they have no style, they don't have any interest, and they wonder why they're not selling. Now the new companies are coming in and they're giving you a taste of uniqueness, which I like. It's time for us to be different. It's time for us to expand. It's time for us to be creative again. Let's be beautiful. Let's be beautiful again. Use beautiful colors, use beautiful fabrics, use expensive fabrics, something that'll last and be beautiful. That's how I feel. I
Mhm.
mean, it's time. It's time.
Oh my gosh, I have so many thoughts in my head. Living in New York City, I don't know how it is in Boca. I mean, I've been down there, but I don't live
Oh,
down
I've only been down there a couple of months. Go ahead.
there. And I say this, and I've said it on my podcast. Look, I'm not saying we should all run around in evening gowns.
Right.
However,
Yes.
my big thing, a big pet peeve with my mother, the way people go to the theater. Look at them, they're dressed like
Ah,
slobs. People used to get dressed up. Again, I'm not saying you got to put on your high heels and your tiara, but my God, with flip-flops, shorts, even this goes for tourists too. This isn't just New York.
absolutely. I am a
The
100% with you.
only place that you still can get dressed up is the opera, you know. I would say, even the ballet, maybe a little
But
bit.
they have to wear a jacket, the men.
The opera. Well, and look, you go to a restaurant. I mean, it's funny. Once in a while, my husband would be like, "Do I need a jacket?" Like it's almost it's such an afterthought, and most of the time you don't. So my big complaint, and again, I'm not going to change the world, but
Right.
people dress like slobs. You
They
know,
do.
I understand. I listen. I run out to the gym. I get all that, but just to go out to a restaurant to people, the pants, everything's hanging out, it's the cut t-shirts used to be what they were, like either for a man's undershirt, or it was like you worked out in it or you went to the gym in it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
actually, I'll say something that relates to my industry. When I see a comic, and I don't care who I piss off, when I see a comic that has a Netflix special, or we used to have a Comedy Central special, and they are wearing, and it's usually the guys, are t-shirt and jeans, I want
Don't you want to like spit?
it makes my skin crawl. It's like, dude, you got this great opportunity. And I have to tell you, no matter what funny stuff they're saying, I can't get past the
What they're
t-shirt
wearing.
and the jeans.
Yeah.
So we've definitely stepped down 20,000 levels, in the way that we dress. I go to Greek Orthodox Church. And I can't, I know in the Catholic Church, it's a little loosey-goosey. That's one of again, the last places in my life, because for the most part, everybody gets dressed up. You'll see people like run in sometimes in and out or whatever, but for the most part, we get dressed I don't go to church in jeans or shirts, God forbid. Actually, my mother has yelled at me about pants, but when it's freezing cold outside, I can't put a skirt on, I'm too cold. So anyway, just to get to your point, exactly. So, and also I live on the Upper East Side, and I've seen this now for decades. The retail store establishment is dying here, and I know everybody complains about the rents, but I think it's a little bit past that. It's online shopping, and
Oh, totally.
when I moved, because I had lived on the west side for a long time, when I moved to the Upper East Side, we had even the regular, like, Club Monaco, a Banana Republic, a Gap, a few, there would be a couple these cute little boutiques. There was a store right around the corner from our old apartment, and I loved it because, and this is what I love about the little store. I'm little, and I walk in, she's like, Ellen, look, we got this in petite. We got this in petite you might like. It's that service that I loved. I got so much stuff from there, and so much cute clothing, and I haven't found anything to replace it. So everything is the pot store, coffee. Like, how much coffee are we drinking? I love coffee. I drink it every morning,
Me
but
too. Me too.
like,
But how many do you need?
how many? Yeah, it's great. For $10 a matcha. But anyway, whatever. That's going off on a tangent. But I agree with you that from a fashion perspective, and we were supposed to be the fancy people here in New York.
Wait a minute. Do you know in Boca? Do you know why I moved to Boca? I go to church in Boca.
Hmm.
Everybody's dressed.
Hmm.
I'm in the choir. I just got into the choir. Everybody's dressed. They all wear dresses. They bring their family. And I belong to St. Joan of Arc in Boca.
Uh-huh.
It's huge. It's a huge, beautiful church. And that's what made me join the church, because I love that. I love that they get dressed.
Yeah.
And also they get dressed in Boca. Like when I go out to dinner, we'll go to Il Molino or we'll go someplace else. You get dressed. You know, hey, listen, I'm in my bathing suit at the pool. That's it.
Right.
That is it. And then I have a pair of slacks on and a cute top or whatever. I am not in my gym clothes all the time. I'm not that person. And that's why I like Boca, and that's why I like Palm Beach. Now, other parts of Florida, I can't comment on because there's
Right.
rednecks out there.
Right.
But that's why I like Boca.
Right.
Boca is clean. It's a cute little place. Everybody gets dressed. It's nice. It's just nice. And I'll be honest with you, you want to do something. You want to be creative. You want to do something with your mind. These are intelligent people that are out there. It's I like it. I like it a lot.
You are a good advertisement and a spokesperson. I was going to mention the Greek church that I go to when I come down
Yeah.
is on, I think, is it Military Trail?
Oh yeah, Military Trail.
So there's all these churches, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'll call it my church that I go to is St. Mark's Greek Orthodox Church.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
that church, I know for a fact, in the last 10 years has exploded, like standing room only.
I'm telling you, the churches in Florida are packed, which makes me feel good.
And you think of, not that there's anything wrong with it, but you think of Boca, you think of Jewish, you think of temples. And of course, there are a lot of those, but there are also a lot of churches.
No,
Yes,
there's a lot of Italians there, a lot of Italians in Boca.
And then I know Greeks, and I know Greeks because
yes,
so
there are.
Greek restaurants are, if Greeks go to church and Greek restaurants, if those
exactly
are Greeks are coming.
Hey, wait a minute. My favorite diner is Greek, and she and I talk all the time. I love the way she gets dressed because she wears monochromatic. And I said, she's so petite. And I said, I love what you wear. She goes, she goes, you have to excuse me. She says, I get this at a very inexpensive place. I said, yeah, but you're working and look how cute you look. Right. You look so together. She said, yeah. So she went to Greece in August. I said, well, I'm not going to be here, but as soon as I get back and you'll be open, I take all my friends here. I take them. I said the best diner ever. And really. And I just love the owner. I just love her.
What's the name of the diner? We got to give it a plug.
Olympia Diner on wait a minute, Federal. On North Federal.
In Boca.
In Boca. Federal.
Olympia Diner.
My girlfriend who lived in Florida for so long didn't even find it. Me, I'm like, with my eyes like this. I said, I got to find a diner and I got to find a Greek diner. And then all of a sudden, I got right in there. That's what it was. And she said, how did you find this place? I said, my radar was out. My Greek radar was out. And that's what I did.
By the way, in January, I'll definitely support it when I go down there. In January is
you better call me when you come in.
I will. I'm trying to figure out. We talk. We'll talk a little offline.
We'll talk later. Okay.
But I'm trying to get book some shows. But in January is when the St. Mark's has their big Greek festival, and everything is homemade. These people start making this stuff from like October and putting it in the freezer. So it's great.
Oh no, I know.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, look, I'm not to get too high level, but we know part of the reason why people flock to Florida, and they're doing it right. I mean, what could you say? It's been a lot of chaos here, and I don't know what's going to happen in November, but anyway, whatever. I just keep praying. I still love this city. I grew up here. I'm fourth generation. I still have hopes. I mean, will it ever be like the 90s again? No, no, probably not. Things have just changed like way too much. But and even from a business perspective, I mean, now the in business is tech. Really, tech
Yeah.
is what it used to be, banking and law firms and accounting firms, and it's just become different. And this is my accounting brain. that kicks in all the time, but it's just like it's about economics. If there's a cheaper place to go, people will go. You cannot tax people to death. That is the one of the huge faults of this state. I don't know who they think they're kidding or they're fooling or they're what. That's it. So
Well, we have a, I
businesses
mean,
started to like textile manufacturing, for example, it got too expensive. They started to go down south and then they started to go overseas. That's what happened. I know there's a big thing about, trying to get manufacturing here and, listen, maybe a few will migrate. I'm not saying that they won't, but it takes a long time to also build a factory. I mean, that's not easy.
well, do you know that I'm with my cousins, as I said before, and uh, their friend and my friend is Sean, who owns Anatomy Clothing. And
Uh-huh.
he's at the horse show this week. And he lives in Miami. And he has his manufacturing in Miami. I mean, of course, offshore too, but his business is in Miami. And I have to tell you, he's online. He has pop-up stores. He has everything going, and he's trying to get bigger. Everybody does, and it's hard because you have to go. You don't want inventory. The worst thing for anybody to have is inventory. That kills you.
Right.
Inventory. And he's constantly looking for new places and new ideas. And he went to New York yesterday for a tech show, and he's very big into AI and all the tech. And that's what's going. That helps him a lot with
Right.
his design, with his business, and everything else. So, I mean, you're right. It's tech. Tech is huge, huge.
Yeah, it's really changed everything around. So when are we going to see Francesca, which I love your name. I love your name so much.
Me
Um,
too.
oh,
Me too.
it's so beautiful, exotic, Italian. I love it so much. When do you think are we going to see some kind of a textile Mel Robbins of some sort
Oh,
or
you're going to see some. I'm going to be working on this now, and I'm going to put it on LinkedIn. I'll
right.
put it on FedEx.
Mhm.
I'll put it on Facebook. I'll put it on, everywhere,
Okay.
and I'll have like a video, and I will definitely advertise myself, so to speak, and I will invite the public to come and and learn from me. I mean,
Great.
I mean, it's important. It's okay. My last position, one of the owner's sons calls me and he said to me, Fran, I miss you so much in meetings. He said, I went to Target. He goes, and I knew that you would have wrapped them around your finger. If I go to Minneapolis, will you come with me? He said, there is no one like you that can sell the way that you do. And I said, and it's all because it's like you and I, we make each other comfortable. You can feel the love between the two of us. And this is what you do to your audience. And this is what I do to my clients.
Mhm.
So they fall in love. And when they fall in love, they're hooked.
Mhm.
And that's it. And but of course, you have to have a good product, and you have to have what you stand up for. But when you have that and you combine it with your love and and liking people and just telling them they'll be okay, come with us, I'll guide you. That's it.
Right.
So, that in itself was the biggest compliment. So I'm still not out of the business.
Right.
I'm just,
Not at all.
no, I'm not out of the business. I'm just taking it a different way.
Right.
So it'll be soon. I would say within the next month.
Great. Great.
All
Well,
right. And
yes.
I will let you know, and I will broadcast it loudly.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, everybody, Francesca De Vito, we thank you so much. I want you to hang on after we get off. I'm going to
Okay.
take a few minutes. Thank you so much. I mean, you're on Facebook. If somebody wants to direct message you about anything, please do. And I can't thank you enough. This is a long time coming. I told you folks, when I get a guest, I get a guest. This is like 10 guests in one. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful lady. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I know Ed's looking down at us, and it's so happy that he brought us together. My Ed, our Ed.
Our Ed.
I am Ellen Karis. Again, go to my website, ellenkaris.com, or follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Greek Chick Comic, or Facebook, Ellen Karis, Greek Goddess of Comedy. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are so great. Until next time, bye.